The two souls of labor: how work creates value in goods. The two-faced commodity. Every commodity is like a riddle with two answers. On one hand, it's useful. A coat keeps you warm. Canvas is used for sewing. This is called use value, how something helps us in life. On the other hand, a commodity has exchange value, the price we pay when we exchange it for something else. For example, one coat might be worth 20 yards of canvas. But what makes their value different? The answer lies in labor. Useful labor, creating what's needed. To make a coat, a tailor labors, selecting fabric, cutting, sewing. To weave canvas, a weaver works at a loom. These types of labor, tailoring and weaving, are as different as day and night. Each creates something unique, meeting a specific need. This is useful labor, work that makes a thing useful. Useful labor is like a chef preparing a dish with a special recipe. Without a tailor, there would be no coat. Without a weaver, no canvas. And every commodity bears the imprint of this work. But there's a nuance. If everyone only made coats, no one would exchange them with each other. Commodities become commodities only because they are different, like the different professions in society. Social division of labor. Everyone does their own part. Imagine society as a huge orchestra. One plays the violin, another the drums, a third the flute. Together they create music, but each contributes their own note. The same is true in the world of commodities. Tailors, weavers, blacksmiths, everyone works in their own way, and their labor forms a system called the social division of labor. This is when everyone does their own thing and then exchanges the results. But the division of labor doesn't necessarily mean commodities. In ancient communities or modern factories, people also divide work, but their products don't always become commodities. A commodity only appears when independent artisans exchange their products, as in a market. Labor as the foundation of life. Labor isn't just work for money. It's what connects us to nature. Without labor, there would be no bread, no houses, no clothes. As one wise person said, labor is the father of wealth, and the earth is its mother. We take materials from nature, cloth, yarn, wood, and transform them into what we need. This is the eternal foundation of our lives, regardless of how society is structured. Value. When labor becomes a number. Now let's look at the other side of labor. If a coat costs twice as much as 10 yards of canvas, it means more labor has been put into it. But what kind of labor? Not specific, tailoring or weaving, but abstract human labor. It's like the energy a person expends, regardless of whether they're sewing or weaving. In the world of value, all types of labor boil down to one thing: the expenditure of human power. Imagine that labor is water and commodities are vessels. It doesn't matter what shape the vessel is, a jug or a bowl. What matters is how much water is poured into it. The same goes for commodities. Their value is determined by the amount of labor put into them. If a coat took twice as long to make as canvas, it will cost more. But not all labor is the same. Compare the work of a doctor and a cleaner. One saves lives, the other maintains cleanliness. It seems their labor differs in complexity. But in the world of value, everything boils down to simple labor, the average expenditure of effort by an ordinary person. Complex labor, for example that of a jeweler, is simply counted as several portions of simple labor. It's as if 1 hour of a doctor's work were equal to 3 hours of a cleaner's work. Society itself determines these proportions, though we often don't notice it. Why does value change? The value of a commodity depends on how much labor is spent on it. But what if labor becomes more efficient? Imagine a tailor inventing a sewing machine. Now they sew a coat faster, and its value drops, even though it still keeps you just as warm. This is the magic of the productive power of labor. The higher it is, the less time is needed for a commodity, and the cheaper it becomes. But the usefulness of the commodity doesn't change. Two coats are still better than one because they can dress two people. However, their value can drop if labor becomes more efficient. It's like a paradox: more things, but less value. All because of the dual nature of labor. It creates both utility and value, but according to different rules. Conclusion: labor with two souls. Labor is like a two-faced hero. On one hand, it creates useful things: coats, canvas, houses. On the other, it determines how much these things are worth in the market. The first side is concrete labor, which makes the world diverse. The second is abstract labor, which measures everything in hours and efforts. Together, they create the world of commodities where every item is a story of the labor invested in it. So the next time you put on a coat or buy fabric, think, behind it isn't just a thing, but the labor of many people woven into one big story.